Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
We talk about really cool stuff here. Today, it's about Axcelis Technologies. Do you know about this company? They do ion implantation, stuff that's used to make chips. So all of these chip companies, they really need the machinery to implant the ions on these chips. The thing is, sales of electric vehicles have been down in the United States all year. So a lot of companies involved with silicon carbide chips and any industry making equipment for them has really suffered. This company is not the only one, but Axcelis Technologies stock is down negative 12.5 so far this year as of April 1st. And this doesn't mean the company's suffering. That's what I want you guys to know. So before we get started here, this is not investment advice, but I want you to know this stuff because I think it will help to inform you, especially if you're starting out with investing in stocks, maybe don't understand the difference between the company and the stock price. And there's a real difference between the actual business, how well the business is doing, and where the stock price is. And keep those on separate hands, okay? Business on one side, stock price on the other. Sometimes what happens is a company is doing really, really poorly. They're losing money, but the stock price is going up through the moon. And this happens. There are a lot of companies that are unprofitable even today. So they're losing money, but the stock is just going up and up and up. This is an interesting situation, Axcelis, in my view. Because even though EV sales are down in the United States, Axcelis is selling a lot of their equipment. These are called Purion equipment, the Purion series of ion implantation. They're selling this equipment in China, in Japan, in Korea. But a lot of American investors are kind of parochial. They have this very narrow view of what's going on and they see, oh, EV sales down. Don't buy stocks of any companies making stuff for electric vehicles. So I could be wrong on this, okay? I'm buying Axcelis Technologies stock, but it's not because I think it's going up. And that is why I put a fence up. This is a little fence. Check it out. Look, see this fence? It's a real fence. If you're like a tiny person or a railroad train, like a miniature railroad, this would be a real fence. But this is the fence around me that separates me from all the other YouTube investors who are trying to pick stocks that are going to go up this year. I don't care if Axcelis Technologies goes up this year. My goal is that I can hold this stock for the next few years. In 2025, 2026, 2027, the company has grown its earnings and the stock price has gone up with the growth in earnings. That's what I'd like. I don't care if this happens in a month or 2 months or 4 months. I think a lot of YouTubers who focus on all kinds of stocks, including semi, are trying to pick the stocks that are going to go up this year. But if you pick them, you know, it's just a whole mess. Now you have to decide once it's gotten too expensive to sell it. Nobody's good at deciding when to sell or when to buy. There's a lot of hype out there about choosing the right times to buy and sell, but nobody knows. Anyway, a couple things, just benchmarks, okay? Right now, as of this filming, the S&P 500 is up about 11.3% so far year to date. That's not really my bogey because those are large companies. I'm focused mostly on small cap between 1 billion and 8 billion semiconductor and semiconductor equipment stocks. So the Russell 2000 Growth Index, that is the index that I am tracking. And that is up 8.3% so far year to date. My portfolio is roughly in line with that. I'm not beating it, but again, I just use that benchmark because if I trail it by too much, then I realize, maybe I would be better off in an index fund. But if I'm able to do better than it, if I'm able to beat it, then that might encourage me to continue on in the path that I'm taking. Right now, we're only 3 months into the year, so this is an irrelevant number, but 8.3 is what the index has returned, and I'm right about there now. So, Axcelis, is it a cheap stock? I don't know. It depends on what you look at. The price to earnings ratio is 15.0. That's not super high in my view, but it's not super cheap. And here's what I'm telling you. I don't know whether this is a cheap stock. My gut feeling is it's not super expensive now compared to, say, where it was last year, but all the chip stocks and all the equipment maker stocks like Air Test Systems were like super high price. It was all smoke and dope in 2023. Now things have come down to earth a little bit more. And I think that I'm probably not overpaying for this stock. Again, my own opinion about this, I could be wrong. But, this is just the kind of stuff I do as an investor. And what I want you to know is I'm not timing the market. I've made a decision every month this year. On the first of the month, I'm putting $2,000 into a semiconductor stock. I might do the same stock for a couple different months, or I might choose a different stock every month. I'm not sure how it's going to work out. Depends on my understanding of the business, and it also depends on how cheap the stock gets. If it's a company I really like and it's really cheap, for some reason the price went down a lot, I might buy more of it. But I'm doing this every month, once a month. And this takes the emotion out of it, because I think there's a tendency to get excited about things, especially if a stock in your portfolio is going up. You just want to buy more and more of it because you see it going up. But I think it's important to have like a discipline so you don't get carried away, buy too much of something just because it's hot. I also buy VTI every month. And I put about $1,000 into it. And the reason for this, and just in case you're new to this whole thing, VTI is just an ETF that tracks the entire stock market. Vanguard puts it out. Other companies do total stock market index ETFs. The reason that I buy it is because I'm not so sure that I can beat the market with my stock choices. I've done this a few times in my investing life, and it's done well. But I've also bought a few stocks that didn't turn out as well as I'd hoped. And so just to hedge against the possibility that I might do some really dumb things with my stock picks this year, I've just told myself every month, buy VTI, just put it away, invest in Vanguard, and don't touch it. And the reason I decided, and I started doing this a couple years ago, the reason I decided on this was, my best investing was when I just automated it like this, just buying every month. And somewhere maybe 5-7 years ago, I stopped with the monthly investments because I thought I was a lot smarter and I got more excited about buying individual stocks. But what happens is during the times when I wasn't buying stocks individually, I also just wasn't putting new money into the market. Especially, I think there were times when the market was kind of down, the market was cheap, and I wasn't contributing. I don't know why. I got distracted. I was doing other things. I was maybe saving up money to buy stocks. But this practice of buying every month was just a good one for me because it takes the thinking and it takes the emotion out of it. And one other thing I noticed, you remember in 2022 how the market, especially tech stocks, just got killed and stock prices just got really, really low. We're talking, I guess, September and October of 2022 especially. Well, not a lot of people I know were going all in on NVIDIA after it had fallen like 100% that year or whatever it fell. It fell a lot. Amazon was down a lot of those tech stocks. That would have been a hard thing to time. But in 2022, and that was I think that was the first year of this channel, I just had this plan of practice, whatever, of just buying VTI every month. So even though I was not able to mentally time the bottom of the market, I know that on the first of every month that year, I was buying. So in that way, I probably caught close to the bottom with at least one of my investments and was able to buy companies like NVIDIA and Microsoft, Apple, Berkshire Hathaway, all at very low prices because 2022 was such a tough year for stocks. So anyways, I know this isn't a VTI video, but for those of you who don't invest in this particular ETF or just don't know a lot about it, it's weighted towards the largest companies in the United States. So most of the money is going into those, but there are more than 3,300 stocks in this entire portfolio. So there are way more. There are 3,733 companies. So the top holdings are Microsoft, then Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, Meta, Google, Berkshire Hathaway, Eli Lilly, and Broadcom. So those 10, and then 3,723 other stocks. So when you buy that particular ETF, you don't have to like figure out, should I buy Amazon? Should I buy Nvidia? Should I buy Apple? It's just done. That's the beauty of index investing. That's the beauty of ETFs, in that you can just make the commitment to buy it and you don't have to worry about which stocks make it into your portfolio. Again, not investment advice, but just trying to share this because some of you guys watching this might not know about this and might be at one of those spots where you're having difficulty deciding what to do. And I think index fund investing, for me personally, has worked out really well. The times when I've fallen off the wagon and stopped, in retrospect, were just times that I was just stupid not to stay in that habit of monthly investing. And it doesn't really matter. When I started investing, all I had really was $100 a month. That's how I started my investments. And I did that for a while, and then I was able to do $100 a month, and I upped it to like $200 a month. And those investments that I made in my 20s turned out to be amazing because they just compounded over time. And the growth of those early investments of me, 27 years old, 28, 29, made it so, I was able to take that money later and buy a house with it. That is the power of compound interest. So I'm a big fan of it. It worked for me. Of course, I could never tell somebody else, especially somebody I don't even know, what they should do. And I never want to give advice. But I do think that you guys should know just about the power of compound interest. And it sounds like a big, hard thing to do, I know, if you're just getting started. But really, it's like brushing and flossing your teeth. It's not that hard. You just do it. It's done. Then you go visit the dentist and they say, hey, good job. I'll see you in 6 months. So anyways, that is my thinking. By the time you watch this, I will be the proud owner of some shares of Axcelis. And I wanted to do that especially because, I learned a lot about the company during the last month, and I'm thinking about it. The stock price doesn't seem crazy high. As I said, it's down 12.5% so far this year. And people are shying away from it. They're like, oh, look, I can make more money in Nvidia. I can make more money in SMCI or whatever. Great. They can do that. And I will just gradually accumulate some shares of some of the stuff that's being disregarded and ignored. And my hope is that in the not too distant future, the world will stop fearing this and that. And yeah, I'm hoping that the stock will appreciate in value. But my time frame is, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. If you have any comments or questions about Axcelis technologies or about VTI or anything else about investing, please write it in the comments. I actually read those things. I actually like reading that. How crazy is that? And I like to hear what you guys think. And so, put it in the comments. Let me know what you think. And I look forward to seeing all of you guys in the next video.